Hi, my name is Don Snavely, and I'm here with my wife Sharon to speak on behalf of Sharon's parents, John and Pat Martin. John and Pat had Missoula as a second home from the early 1970s. They were born in Ohio, when John graduated from high school then went into the service and fought in World War II, and he was one of the members of the Easy Company that was eulogized in the Band of Brothers series on HBO and now the History Channel. John was came in with the first group of paratroopers that went immediately ahead of the D-Day invasion on June 6th, and half of that company was killed. John made it back to England. One of my favorite stories that John used to tell is he wasn't a big fan of body piercings or tattoos, but he did have a big tattoo on his right arm, and so I asked him how that came to pass, and he said that after they got back from D-Day, he and another good friend of his, Bill Garner, realized that they were going back to Europe to fight a second time, and they figured there was no way they were going to get back alive, so they were going to do something crazy. So they went up to Scotland and got tattoos, and he had to live with the rest of his life. In any event, he did go back to the European theater in this fall of 1943, and he was one of the members of Easy Company that were trapped in the Bastogne. The Germans had him pinned down the entire winter with very little food, very little support, yet they hung in there and were successful in stopping the Germans' assault. After that, he came back to the States. Had many stories to tell about the war, and as you can imagine, and we owe a great debt of gratitude to not only John, but all the men and women who fought in World War II and preserved the freedom we have today. After the war, John worked in Ohio for a while for the railroad, did some home building on the side. In the early 60s, the Martins moved to Phoenix, Arizona, where John started his own construction company, building custom homes, apartment buildings, nursing facilities. He was a large contractor. Always had heard about Montana, came up here in the early 70s, immediately fell in love with it, bought a ranch up in Ovando. And then over the years bought a second home in the Miller Creek area of Missoula, and they used to spend, Pat and John used to spend from roughly mid-April to mid-October in Missoula, as they really spent more time here than they did in Arizona, and then they had another home in Arizona. John passed away in January 2005, Pat passed away in November 2006, and we buried him in Missoula because they consider that their favorite spot on the planet. Thank you.